All right. Well, good Friday afternoon, everybody. This is Tim Lee. I'm the director of the Texas Retired Teachers Association, and I think I've clicked all the buttons to make sure this is working. And I am going to try to click on a button that lets me see comments as they come in. So hopefully, if y'all are able to tune in with us today and want to share in the live stream, we'd love to have you. So today it's a great day for just providing an update to our members. We had a massively successful day at the Capitol this last Wednesday. We had a lot of folks. I'm going to cover kind of the background of that. Also going to just tell everybody up front, hey, I know that the TRTA staff team put in a tremendous amount of effort to help with that day at the Capitol. If you have been a part of an organization where you are planning an event for a year and a half, and you know the work that goes into it, and you get there at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning to set up tents and chairs and all the stuff that went on. I know the guy that's sort of in charge of the TRTA office, and so I asked if it would be all right to let our staff have a day and a half of downtime just to get rested up and ready to go for the rest of this legislative session. And I just want to tell y'all, I'm so proud of the TRTA team, all of our staff that work so diligently to help make these events successful. I don't want to name them all because I'm live on air. I'll probably forget somebody, but everybody did a great job. I'm so proud, so grateful. We had 3 new employees that had never been through this experience with us in the past. They did great, and they really enjoyed the members and getting a chance to talk to them and meet them and interact with them. I sometimes take for granted how much interaction I'm able to have with our TRTA members on a regular basis when we are, out in the field and I'm going to chapters and I'm talking to folks. I love that. That's probably my favorite part of this job is being out there and having that sense of community. And if you're watching this and you've joined TRTA, but you've never started with a local chapter in your area, gosh, we have over 245 chapters all across Texas. They're amazing. I love those people, and they have so much fun, and they really add to the experience that we have a community that not only focuses on all this legislative stuff that we were talking about, but just building each other up and helping each other and providing, as I said, that sense of community that all of us know is important. And so really very grateful that our staff had the pleasure of meeting all of you. So I'm going to kind of just cover what the objectives were for the day at the Capitol. I'm going to talk about, what's going on with our legislative activities here in Texas, post that event. But I want to start off with kind of a special announcement. And I think that we're probably a week away, but here's what I want to do. I want to ask everybody to go ahead and circle a day on your calendar. And that is going to be 2 weeks from now. It is April 11th. It's not tax day, but it's close. And April 11th, I think TRTA is going to have a very, very special live event that you will not want to miss. And if you are tuning in from out of state, or if you are participating in this event here in Texas and you're not yet a member of TRTA, I think we're going to do something that most other organizations will not have the chance to do. It is going to be focused on the Social Security government pension offset windfall elimination provision and the Social Security Fairness Act. It is going to be a program that I think is going to very much be something that you want to see. So I'm not trying to hype this up too much. I mean, I am kind of, because I want to have a lot of people tune in. But there's going to be some really exciting guests that we're going to have. And please, if you can help start sharing the word April 11th, 2 o'clock Central. That's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm saying that just because I know a lot of folks are going to tune in. Please be here for our live show on April 11th. I think it's going to be something that you will not want to miss. I'm not going to say just yet who the guest is going to be, or guests may be, but I may announce that next week. But for right now, please just circle April 11th. Y'all don't have to do anything different. Just come here and be a part of the event and watch what presentation material that we're going to have. It is going to be absolutely focused on the Social Security Fairness Act, kind of where we are, where we've been. And I don't want to say more than that. Let's just say that it is it's going to be a big. What did they used to say? It's going to be a big show. So I'm excited about that, and I continue to get a number of emails from members and non-members alike. I know there was a person who reached out to me from Ohio. I've had folks from Ohio and California and other places around the country. I'm checking those emails as fast as I can. I'm responding to them as fast as I can. Some of those emails, because of the number of the questions that I've got about Medicare reimbursement, as well as the GPO retroactive payment, I've just started filing those, and I'm trying to respond to those as quickly as I can. But I've received several hundred, and probably getting close to almost 1,000 emails of folks that have double paid on the Medicare payment, especially. That's a real big question, and we're working on getting even more satisfactory answers on that. And I think I just saw something that said that my sound is not good. So I'm going to watch the comments just for a second. And anybody who's live right now, of the viewers that are here, just let me know if you can hear me. And I'm going to just kind of look at the camera. Can somebody let me know? Y'all hear me okay? And maybe if you can, I guess then nobody's hearing what I'm saying. So I'll type it in the comments. Can you hear me? I didn't mean to have it all in capital letters. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Thank you, everybody. That solves that question. And so, all right, perfect. Thank you. This is a live show, audience participation. You can tell I'm a little more relaxed today. Normally I'm wearing a jacket and at least a dress shirt. But after our day at the Capitol, I felt like I needed to slow down just a little bit. And just come to you as kind of a calm Friday. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And so kind of, backtracking just a second, keep those emails coming. Again, if you're an out-of-state person and you've got a question about something going on with the Social Security Fairness Act and implementation, people have written me emails and said, "Hey, I'm not a member, but I need some help." I understand that. We're very grateful for the members that we have here in Texas. We have members, all around the country, active members that are, active in the classroom or actively working. Most of our members are Texas school employee retirees. But we never turn anybody away when it comes to needing help. And so if you have a question or concern or something going on and you don't know who to talk to or turn to, please, send me an email, tim@trta.org. I'm happy to try to answer your questions as quickly as I can. But remember, I don't, all of us at TRTA, we pretty much run our own email accounts. And that is, I don't have somebody checking my email for me. I do that all on my own. And so it does take me, some time, perhaps to get to those emails. If you're sending me something that's just informational and I can file it and I think, hey, that's good information for me to have, and I'm trying to get an answer, I may not reply. So, I'll say that today. So let me see this comment here that Ann just put up. Okay, so let's take a look at this. And I know that people on Facebook can see it, but I'm just going to put this one out there. As of today, I've received no adjustments in Social Security and no letters. We were told that the lump sum back pay for 2024 would be paid in March, and that the new adjustment pay would begin in April. We were told that we would receive letters beforehand concerning the changes resulting from changes in the GPO and the WEP. No letters either. This is concerning. I understand that. And I do not disagree that is a concern. And I think that's, I'm going to kind of focus in on some pieces of your question here and try to answer them as best I can, because I think if you're asking this, there's somebody else out there that has the same questions, same concerns about what's going on. So here's what we know. As of today, the Social Security Administration has processed, they believe, 85% of the retroactive payments. That still leaves 15% of nearly 3 million people that have not yet received a retroactive payment. Some of those cases had been processed based on, I think this is correct information, that some of those early payments that went out the door the fastest had a little bit of focus on folks that may have been retired longer. I think we're going to get some answers on these types of questions as we get further into April. If you have been watching the news about changes that the Social Security Administration is talking about, there is a big change that is going into effect for all Americans. And that is how somebody may need to change information relating to their Social Security and what's going on. And so the Social Security Administration, from what I've understood in media reports, is that there's going to be less and less of kind of the calling in and making changes like direct deposit or address change or stuff like that. And their focus, from what I've read in the news accounts, is that they want people to use the Social Security Administration's secure app. I'm one of those people that is not big on utilization of apps. I like talking to people and I like calling in. But when I was listening to media reports, and there were some reports just yesterday in various media resources saying that part of the reason why they're doing this is because there's a lot of fraudulent activity that is going on. And I'm not picking. Please understand, I am not picking any political side on this. I'm going to take a lot of comments at just face value. I've talked to the folks in the Social Security Administration. The folks that I've connected with personally there have been excellent employees. I really respect them. And I think they're doing, an amazing job. But there have been, decision makers that have said, hey, we're going to have less of the calling in, and people are going to have to use more of the app, or people are going to have to go directly to a Social Security office, make appointments. I think that's a general statement. That's not just about a Social Security fairness issue. That's more of a general overview. And so I think if in the last couple of weeks, the Social Security Administration has slowed down a little bit on being able to get those retro checks out, part of that is that they're juggling a lot of administrative change that's happening at their agency. And we give the benefit of the doubt that there are a lot of things that are being processed at this time. And so, anytime there's change, there's also disruption, and that could potentially slow it down some. So as far as the lump sum payments, somebody can, help me do the math, but 15% of 3 million is still a lot of folks that have not gotten their checks. And so, and I'm going to suggest that right now we may have kind of a yellow alert, but not necessarily a red alert right now. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And I'm going to ask that you particularly, connect with us at TRTA. I see the comment on Facebook, and that may be just fine for me. But of course, you can email me at tim@trta.org. And also, let's dig into that question a little bit more. They're going to continue to process retro checks past the month of March. So March is not the end all of retro payments. And I think I'm going to have another update next week about some items that we are working on that hopefully will continue the retro payment much further into the year. Hopefully for folks that may have been told they're not eligible for it at this point in time, but we're working to try to ensure eligibility. So there's a lot of balls that are still in the air that we're juggling here. So I'm not. I know that it's concerning, and I'm sorry that you have not received your payment yet, but I'm not. I don't want you to believe that we're at a stage where they've just stopped the retro payments. A lot of people have been getting the letters that describe the new benefit. But again, not everybody. And so at one point in time, I was told there were going to be two letters. And the first letter that you were going to receive was going to be a kind of talking about your retro payment, when you became eligible for it, what the amount was based on, and then, here's the amount. Many people got the direct deposit of the retro payment before they ever got the letter. And then I was told there was going to be a second letter. And the second letter is describing what the new benefit amount is going to be going forward. And it is true that the Social Security Administration has put on their website, as well as been reported back out, that those new payments are presumably starting in April. And so that may also lead to additional questions. I have, I don't know that my folks are watching right now, but my dad is a state employee retiree. He served in the U.S. Army Reserve. My mother worked in the private sector. My dad's Social Security went up because of the repeal of the WEP and the GPO, which I'm very happy about. But because of his other government service when he was a state employee, his Social Security is probably not higher than what half of my mother's Social Security was, because she spent all of her years in the private sector. So, they're both over the age of 65, and my dad may be able to qualify for a spousal benefit because his benefit may not be as much as what half of what my mother's is, because he had more limited service. So as this moves forward, I think people are going to have to keep an eye on what their new payment is. I think they're going to potentially want to talk to, either a financial planner or somebody that works with them on their taxes, and they look at what those Social Security benefits are, and they want to ask the question, hey, my spousal benefit, half of what my spouse is getting may be higher than 100% of mine. And so am I eligible to receive a higher amount now that, WEP and GPO are totally out of the picture and we're just receiving two Social Security benefits? So again, this is new territory for us. For the last 28, almost 29 years, I've only ever known a world of WEP and GPO. And so I'm learning a lot of these rules and a lot of this information at the same time, though, that a lot of you are. And so know that every day we're trying to learn as much as we can. And so I do think that April will be a month that you'll start getting your new benefit in. My hope is that it gets worked out that way, but I'm not raising too many red alarms just yet. So please know that I'm got an eye on your question. And I think a lot of other people are asking, what should be going on. And I think it is possible that you could still get your higher benefit before you get the letter explaining it. So it's a lot of moving parts. We're going to get there. TRTA is not going to forget any of our members. And if we need to help try to answer questions by connecting with people and working through this process, I think we're building those relationships in a way that we might be able to do that. Okay, so thank you so much for that question. And I see other people have saying they have not received anything yet, and no response from SSA. I do believe that it is important for you, if you've not received it yet, to reconnect with the Social Security Administration. They did say that if a person had questions about this, especially somebody who was already receiving a benefit, who may have had their direct deposit information already on file, maybe they had filed for the widow's benefit before and told they were not going to get it. Now they become a payor for the Medicare benefit. They did say that that members may have questions and that there may be kinks and wrinkles that'll need to be ironed out, and that they were sort of in the beginning of this process asking people to wait until kind of the middle of April before we started calling in with some of these problems and concerns. But at this point in time, I wouldn't shy away from calling the Social Security Administration again and just saying, hey, checking back in. I know that you probably have not processed all of those benefits yet, but is my still on the radar? Do you need any other information from me? And I don't think that hurts. The worst part about that is it could still take you some period of time to try to get in and make that phone call. Here's the other part that I'm not sure of what is going to happen as of April 1st, 2025. And that is whether or not the Social Security Administration is going to change the section of their website that says if you're a public worker calling about questions with the Social Security Administration, Social Security Fairness Act, are they still going to manage those questions with the phone number that they've had on their website, or if they are going to push folks into going to the local offices? And so that is one of those things that we're going to try to get some more information about and continue to answer those questions. And again, I will say that if you have questions about any of this process, circle April 11th on your calendar, because that is going to be a show that you're not going to want to miss. And I'm not hiding answers. I'm trying to give the best answers that I can today. I just think there are some more expert people that could try to answer these things a little bit more for us. And I see this comment. I'm not sure. It's the online experience is not user friendly, and as I said earlier, I believe most online experiences are not user friendly. I hate saying that because I'm pretty much a technology embracing individual. I mean, I love technology, but I also like human interaction. I want people to provide customer service, and especially on something that is as important as trying to get your Social Security benefits done. And so I hear you about that, Tina, on the customer server or the online is not as user friendly. So I would probably continue to make phone calls, and the real question will be on April 1st. Is the Social Security Administration change their website and say if you've got questions and concerns, you have to schedule an appointment? That's what I don't have an answer to. So, all right. I know that. Let me just take a look at these comments again. We have one of our members saying that they sent an email, they got the payment, but only sent 6 months of the lump sum. So this is a YouTube comment, and Teresa has put this out and saying, I sent the email, I got the payment, but only sent 6 months of a lump sum. Went to Social Security and they told me you get 12 months of lump sum. So this sometimes I think is falling into that category of when did the Social Security Administration say that you became eligible to receive the government pension offset repeal. And TRTA has, as you all know, we have said that we assert that the GPO should have been that the first time that you went to the office is when the time that is that you would have been able to receive the benefit. So, if you had a spouse and that spouse passed away in 2022 and you went to the Social Security Administration office, and as we have been told by many TRTA members and members of other associations from around the country, you were meeting with that Social Security staff person. They said, well, I see you're a public worker. You have a pension. Your pension is going to be used to offset your spouse's Social Security. You're not going to get anything. So don't apply. And while that may have happened in 2022 and you followed those instructions, it has been sort of the Social Security position that until you fill out the form that says, I want to apply for my spousal benefit, I think what they're saying is that procedurally, you're not eligible to get it until you fill out that form. And for us, and I think what several of our friends in the U.S. Congress have asserted, is that we know very clearly when a retiree became eligible for the spousal benefit. And that was at the moment there was a life-changing event. And for many people, that life-changing event is when their spouse passed away. And if they went to a Social Security office out in the field, and I want to make clear that I'm not I'm not saying anything against our Social Security employees. I think at the time, many people never thought the Social Security government pension offset was ever going to go away. And so it could have been how it was interpreted. Somebody meets with a Social Security Administration staffer and they say, hey, there's going to be an offset. You can choose to fill out the forms if you want, and we're glad to take them. But just know I can show you here on this screen or whatever, however that conversation goes, that you're not going to get anything. So you may not want to apply. And then people don't do it. And so for us, and I think for the Congress, the people especially that voted for this, they saw the retroactive payment as when a person would have been eligible. And so for some people who are getting a 6-month retroactive payment, if you go the full time, that retro payment started according to the law that was passed January 1st, 2024. And to the best of our estimates, it looks like the Social Security Administration would have used January 1st, 2024 to February of 2025. So that is 14 months, maybe 15 months if they're including March in there. I'm not entirely sure. But 14 months of payment versus 6 is what we have been working on and trying to convince folks at least in Congress that maybe there should be some clarification on that. So if you're in that boat and you've got the 6 months and you think that's not fair or that information wasn't communicated right or whatever, I'm just going to say that as an organization, we along with my friend Sean Duhamel, who is at Mass Retirees, and others, I've talked to friends at Guardians of Social Security as a Facebook page that many people have been following. They've been putting out lots of great information, great people behind that Facebook page. And I think we're all sort of communicating and sharing kind of this perspective that there was a moment when somebody became eligible. Filling out the form was not creating eligibility. A life-changing event is what created eligibility. So anyway, as I said, I could talk about this all day because we spent a lot of time trying to correct the situation. But that's part of what's going on for a lot of folks that are just getting the 6 months. Let me take a look at some more of these comments. There was no, I could make schedule a phone appointment with my local Social Security. They process mine through the phone call. There's some more people that are having better luck. This comment is essentially saying, hey, you might have a more fortunate outcome, more direct and more timely outcome if you try to connect with your local office. And all I know is that on the Social Security website, they are still encouraging people to use the toll-free number that they have calling into their call center. And I assume it's Washington, D.C. or Virginia or wherever it's based. So that being said, we're certainly not discouraging anyone. If you think that you can connect with your local office and you want to try that approach, you can do that. I have had people report to me that they got great results doing it that way. And I've had some other folks report to me that the local office had no idea that there was anything called the Social Security Fairness Act, that WEP and GPO were still in existence, and that they should leave because those laws were not repealed. So it's been either really good or not so good. It just kind of depends. So that's some of the reports that we have. So there's a question here that is being asked, and I'm going to post it because a lot of people may have this. Will our Medicare transfer from easy pay to automatic deduction on our Social Security benefits check? Will we notify our bank and ensure that the auto pay is stopped and Medicare is not double paid? Thanks so much. I think that is, yes, I think that is correct. So many, as you all know, probably better than anybody else, many folks may have been receiving some amount of Social Security, but it was not enough to cover the costs of the Medicare premium. And so y'all were direct pays instead of having the automatic deduction. For many people now, that is likely to change. And so that Medicare premium is going to be deducted out of the Social Security benefits you receive. And you probably will need to turn off any sort of auto pay. And I don't work for the Social Security Administration. I do not work for Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or what we call CMS in Washington, D.C. And I certainly do not work for your bank. I am your friend who's just providing information based on how people have communicated back to me or information that we've picked up from other folks. So, these are really important topics. I would talk to your bank and ask what that process is for turning off auto pay and to ensure that all bases are covered. And if you have this question, I think it is at least worth a look at the Social Security fairness page on the Social Security website. And because I'm running the show today and I gave all my staff some time off, I don't have that page that I can post in this, but it's on all of our other updates that we've done on this. And we have a link to that Social Security page on our website. One of the things that I have become very acquainted with as I talk to the Social Security Administration is the possibility of potential fraud around these issues. And so I'm urging all of you to base your decisions on direct information from the Social Security Administration. They have a really, really good frequently asked question page on their website. And I will try to get a little bit more information on this question that's asked about the reduction. So it is my belief that many folks will stop having to do auto pay and will be able to have those premiums deducted from their Social Security benefit. The other great thing that we can say for sure is that all of your Social Security benefits are now tied to any inflationary increases that the Social Security Administration may implement for SSA retirees in the coming months based on inflation. Now, who knows what that's going to be, but in some years it's been better, in some years it's not been as good. But we'll have to wait and see. And a lot of times, if there is some kind of increase, cost of living adjustment on the Social Security benefit, there may also be some Medicare adjustment on the premium cost. My understanding has been that whenever the Medicare or the Social Security did not have any cost of living adjustments on those benefits, then Medicare premiums kind of stayed capped where they were. So again, a lot to learn, a lot to know more about as we move through the coming years as receiving our full Social Security benefits. Okay, great questions, and just taking a look at a few more of these. Start with, yeah, it's a great comment about how we have Phyllis here talking about how this is really a life-changing event. Thank you, Phyllis, for all of your hard work. You've been dealing with a GPO and you got your back pay, starting your regular payments in April, life-changing. I was so happy to see you at the day at the Capitol. Sorry we didn't get a chance to talk, but that comment I love it. It's a beautiful comment. Thank you so much for sharing. A lot of our retirees, I had a story that was conveyed to me at our day at the Capitol with a retiree who was well into her 70s, and she was still working part-time jobs to try to make ends meet. As soon as she heard the news about Social Security Fairness Act being passed and what was going on, she quit her part-time job, and she is no longer having to work in that position because this was a life-changing thing. And so really happy about that. I do want to say one thing also. If you were at our day at the Capitol and there were a lot of legislators that were talking about the Social Security Fairness Act and what that meant for retirees, they were very happy. And we all are very happy about it. But please understand that most Texas retired school employees, TRS retirees, do not get Social Security. Many people worked in a school district their entire career. They may have changed jobs after a few years, but their 30 plus year career was spent in a TRS. And as I said, I think last week I spoke to a TRTA member who told me that she had worked 37 years with the school district and had a few Social Security quarters, but nothing that would have translated into being eligible for a benefit. And in Texas, we still have no cost of living adjustments that are part of our teacher retirement system benefit. And so, still for the majority of Texas TRS retirees, our association responsibility together is to work with our state elected officials so that we can ensure that some cost of living adjustments are passed and made available to retirees, knowing that the majority of folks in Texas, even after WEP and GPO repeal, they just don't have the quarters to be eligible for a Social Security benefit. So, there's so much of this that we still have to continue to work on, and we're going to build on. And so, if you're watching this and you're saying, "Hey, you guys spent a lot of time talking about the Social Security stuff, and what's going on with me at the Texas Capitol," I think it would be fair for me to transition a little bit here and say, "Hey, we're still working on quite a few legislative items," and so I really did see March 26th as sort of a mid legislative year moment for us. It was sort of our build up to what the rest of our state legislative session was going to be like. So since December, we have been working with mutual effort behind the idea of repealing the government pension offset, going through the process of the implementation, and at the same time working on what we as an organization were promoting during this state legislative cycle. And specifically to our folks that are here in Texas, we have an aggressive legislative agenda. All of you who were able to be at the day at the Capitol, I'm so happy about that. We had a much bigger crowd than what I think all of us were anticipating. I personally believe that we were going to have a big crowd. And we did. We had an amazing group of folks. If you were not able to be there, we understand a lot of people, it's difficult to travel. Some of y'all still work, even though you're retired from TRS. Some of you have other responsibilities and other things that are going on. And so we get it. But you should be proud to know that all of our districts are represented at the day at the Capitol. We had all of the gallery was full of Texas Retired Teachers Association members. We have, ever since we started our day at the Capitol, we have been wearing red shirts. It was not a political statement. It was just the brightest color that we all thought people would see us coming. And so it just become a signature, of ours that when we show up at the Capitol, you have red shirts everywhere that say, your local chapter name or Texas Retired Teachers Association, or it's just your red shirt. And I had the benefit of both being in the Texas House as well as in the Texas Senate. And we had lines around the rotunda of people going into the chambers. I think there was a report saying there are just under 500 seats in both of those galleries. Every seat was full on the House and the Senate side. There were some seats on the House side that I think people might have gotten up because they've been sitting there for a while to take a stretch break, and then they couldn't get back in because the line was still long. And so we might have, had a few seats that were empty here and there. But overall, y'all did a great job of representing this organization. The enthusiasm, the energy, the cheer that went up in both of those chambers when they announced the Texas Retired Teachers Association Day, it was great. Could not have hoped for a better, more impressive, in leaving an impression upon all of the legislators. They do not stop session for any other group like they do for us. So when you're in the Texas House and everybody starts cheering, most of the time the chair who has the gavel is saying, "Hey, come to order." But they didn't do it. They just don't do it because they know what a powerful force you all are. And you are. You're a voting powerhouse. Now, I'm struggling about saying something because I don't want it to be a downer. But I'll just say that I overheard one legislator that had the impression that Texas school employee retirees don't vote, and that their voice may be less impressive to them than they may have thought at one time. And when I heard that, I have to tell you, I was a little upset that that anybody who is in the elected class would look at the outpouring of people that were there and sort of walk away and say, I'm just not as interested in maybe in helping retirees as I may have been at one time because I just don't think they vote. Um, that's a huge mistake on that elected member's perspective. I go back to the idea of Prop 9 in November of 2023 when the Texas Retired Teachers Association had more votes in that special constitutional referendum election than anything else, including property tax. Now, we know that. Our members worked hard for that. The general public supported us in that. Uh, but I have to tell you, I am still processing what somebody's mindset is who's in the elected class who thinks that if we do something potentially that is not good for retirees, that they're not going to show up and that there won't be consequences at the voting box. So I didn't think I was going to get on that subject today, but if any of you and I overheard it, and I can't be sure who said it. So if you're in the comments right now and saying, who said that? There's no way for me to say for sure who it was. And I wouldn't do that right now anyway, unless that, person were, if that person did turn out to say it and they were coming back and saying, something negative about our legislative agenda, and then I think that's fair game. But it was one of those comments that might have been something that wasn't supposed to be heard, and I heard it, and I think all of you deserve to know that there might be some perception in the Texas legislature that retirees should not be feared because they simply don't vote, and so we might need to chew on that as an organization a little bit, and decide how it is that we need to deal with that. So I'm going to come over to this statement here real quick to talk about my friend Dan Taylor, Ohio. Here, still waiting on my retro payment, and I got to scroll down just a little bit. And my Social Security has not been updated yet either. Hopefully soon. But thanks for all you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Again, it does not matter to me if you're in Texas or another state. I have so many friends in Ohio. I have a lot of respect for the Ohio STRS folks. I know those people personally, the people who run that pension fund. I know the folks that are with the Ohio Retired Teachers Organization and others. I've worked with them for decades. I'm more than happy to try to, help on that issue. And I think, again, as I said to one of our TRTA members earlier, there is still some opportunity for us to make sure that we get those things addressed. And so I'm going to try to find that comment from my other Ohio friends as well and respond to those. And again, tune in April 11th. I think we're going to have a lot of updated information from some very smart folks that might be able to help us with some of this. Okay, so a lot of other folks talking about they have not received their payment, and please know that if you've gone through the process of communicating your direct deposit information, you've made that contact with Social Security, you've talked to those folks, and you're still waiting, I just want to say, listen, the reports that we have are 15% out of 3 million people still have not received it. That's all over the country. And so I'm not ready to panic yet. I don't think we'll be panicking anyway. I think the Social Security Administration is probably working out exactly what the highest level of benefit that you might be able to receive. We were told that there were going to be some potential other items that were going on. Clearly, there's a lot of stuff happening at the federal government that could cause some disruption in payments. So I'm not worried yet. I'm certainly with you that I'd like for you to get it as fast as you can, but I'm not totally scared that it's not going through. So not hitting the panic button, but I am keeping track and communicating this to the folks that I'm connected with at SSA, and I think they'll have some answers for us. So, okay. kind of back on our legislative agenda and where we stand for the Texas legislature, what's going on. We as an organization have been communicating some of our important messages for the legislature. As we get deeper into the month of April, more and more of these bills are going to start moving. I was doing a bill analysis with my colleague Brock Gregg just a few minutes ago. He was looking at a bill that talks about giving retirees cost of living adjustment and also providing a supplemental check to other retirees. And I know that there are some of these bills that are probably going to make a better push deeper into session. A lot of this is going to come down to the revenue and the resources, financial resources that are available in the legislature. We do not want to see activities happening within the legislature that cause our retirement system to have a greater unfunded liability. What does that mean? Well, we know that TRS Texas is pretty financially healthy. It's over $200 billion. The amortization period of the ability to pay down that unfunded liability was well within the circumstances, the purview, the recommendations, and kind of the accepted actuarial principles that legislatures, decision makers, retirement systems have in trying to cover those costs. So, when I talk to people about that, you look at it like this. We've got all the money in the bank that we need to cover all of our retirees' benefits. That's present and accounted for. We've got all the money in the bank that we need to pay for most of our active teachers' retirement costs. And there are teachers that have just started educating that are just now starting to make those contributions to the retirement system. And because of the great way that the state of Texas has worked to manage this retirement system, we have a lot of the money already baked into that as well. So the unfunded part is, how much of the benefit that we are promising to future retirees do we not have the dollars present and accounted for? And we are well within really accepted actuarial practices of being able to make that work. If you think about that 22-year-old retired or active teacher who just started teaching this year, and we're so happy that person is now in the profession, let's assume they're going to have a 30-year career. Well, we're going to be receiving those contributions over the life working period of time for that employee. So TRS is going to be able to take those contributions from all of the sources, the employee, the employer, the state, and they're going to invest those in their asset allocation, and they're going to be able to earn the rest of that benefit for that 22-year-old. That 22-year-old is not going to start taking their teacher retirement system benefit today. And so their working career, we're going to have the ability to earn the interest that we need to make up for the shortfall. So when you look at this perspective, we're a very healthy, pension system. Part of the reason that we're so healthy is that our TRS doesn't promise any new benefits to retirees once they retire. So it's sort of a fixed amount. And when the legislature starts making changes to what that amount may be, then it could have a cost that would actually make the retirement benefit more expensive. And we see that in a couple of different ways during a legislative session. Some of those ways that we like, of course, because they're all good. All right. These are all good things. That if the legislature says, hey, we want to give all the retirees a 6% raise. Well, that's going to raise the cost of paying that benefit that the state teacher retirement system and the actuary and the legislature did not originally plan. And so that, while it's going to help the retirees, it potentially becomes a drain on the available assets that the retirement system has over the next X number of years. And so when we talk about ways to solve that problem, the best way to do it is for the legislature to say, hey, what does it cost if we give you all the money up front? What would it cost for us to pay for this? Which is what happened last time in 2023 when we did our big raise for retirees. the legislature said, we don't want to affect that retirement system. We're going to put all the money into it right now. And we're going to let the retirement system take that $3.5 or $4 billion, whatever that total amount was. And we want them to invest that money. And over the next 30 years, they're going to earn 7% interest on that. And it's going to cover the cost of providing this COLA to all retirees. And so it's kind of paying it forward. Here's the amount of money that you need, invest it, earn the interest on it, help pay for it. It becomes a lot easier. If the legislature did not do that, and we did not have the money to pay for it, and they raised the benefits, it would cost the system the dollars over the period of time, because you're paying out a higher level of benefit, which means that you don't have that money that you originally planned to have in the trust fund, because you're paying higher benefits to folks. And when you have fewer dollars in the trust fund over long periods of time, what happens is you lose the dollars in the trust fund that you believe are going to be there, but you just don't lose the dollars. You lose the interest on the dollars that's helping amortize and cover this whole cost. So we don't want the retirement system to be used kind of like a credit card in providing retirees a benefit. Yeah, we want retirees to get a benefit enhancement, but we want to see the dollars there to cover the costs. And so we're not sort of swiping the credit card and paying it off over time by interest earnings or contributions or some other way that isn't as good as using upfront cash. So that's kind of the way that works. There are other bills that are really, really good that help people that could also cause a negative impact on our pension fund. One of those really important issues here in Texas is giving our active teachers a raise. You've heard me say on this show a number of times, my family has skin in the game. My wife is a high school teacher, Dripping Springs High School. She's an amazing teacher. I love the fact that she's in the profession. I feel connected to all of you because I see how hard she works. And so I'd love to see her get a raise. And the legislature has bills this session that will give the active school employees a raise. That's great because they're setting aside the money to do that in the state budget. What we've not seen yet in the state budget is the money being set aside to cover the actuarial impact cost of paying people more money while they're active, knowing that that's going to increase benefits in the out years. And TRS has said, hey, you've got some great ideas here. You're going to give your active teachers a raise, but because we don't have a formula set up for how we're going to pay the TRS costs of that raise, it is going to create a drain on the retirement system. And none of us want that. The active teachers wouldn't want that. Our retirees don't want it. It could potentially spin us out of being actuarially sound. That's not good for anybody. And so what we are doing as an organization is that we're meeting with all of our friends in the elected leadership. So, all of the folks that are responsible for these committees, these bills, the appropriations, we're meeting with these folks and we're asking them to develop the plans necessary to ensure that our trust fund is going to be solvent. And so, that's an issue that we're keeping a real sharp eye on during this legislative session. I'm just going to be very practically real with everybody. We, as an organization, are laser focused on ensuring that our teacher retirement system is going to be there for all of our current retirees, all of our current active teachers that are going to retire, and all of our future educators. And I know it's a TRS statement, but it's one that a lot of us believe in, and that is that TRS is in the forever business. And as an association that has a specific charter, a job designed to protect retirees and their retirement security, we believe that we have a duty of care to talk to our legislators about any legislation that could have an impact on the future solvency of the retirement system. And it could be for a really great reason. It could be for retirees getting a big 10% raise. But if we're not going to fund it and it's going to cause the pension system to be in financial jeopardy, that would be even hard for us, to say, maybe we need to do something else. So the risk is that if people don't sit and listen to me, I've been doing this for 55 minutes now. Y'all are still watching. I'm so grateful to you. But the risk is that somebody gets the wrong impression that if we say something about this and it sounds like, oh, TRTA as an organization may not be for active teachers getting a raise. That's ridiculous. Of course we are. We want our active teachers to get a raise. We also want to know that there's a plan that's in the works that says, hey, if that's going to create a potential problem for the retirement system, we have all worked so hard. We have all worked together that we're going to put a plan together to make sure that's fixed. So that's what we've been working on. A lot of that is kind of aligns with our legislative agenda. When we came into session, we said, take some of the extra resources that Texas has and financial resources and put extra money in the retirement system and pay down that unfunded liability. We are proponents of bringing down unfunded liability as fast as possible because that really helps us get retirees benefit enhancements quicker and on a more regular basis. When we are dealing with less unfunded liability, more options are open for us to help retirees. And in a state where most of our retirees are still 30% behind inflation, and a lot of folks don't have Social Security, even though WEP and GPO has been repealed, we got to have options on the table to help people more regularly. We can't go 10, 12, 15 years when retirees from they first retire to when they get their first raise. So, that's all of what the things are that we're working on. And I know I've talked way too long today. I did not intend for this to go so long. So let me dispel another couple of rumors that came up during our day at the Capitol. It was so nice that the Texas Senate, a guy named Tan Parker that I've known since he was a House member, and partnering with one of our retirees and several of our folks, they did something for me that was, I didn't expect it. It was so nice. But the Texas Senate passed a resolution that honored the work that I have been able, that I get to do, for TRTA. It was beautiful. It was really hard to have somebody, say all those nice things about it. I would much rather praise all of you folks than to stand there and listen to. It's beautiful and I love it. It just makes me uncomfortable sometimes thinking that people are singling me out because I am the first person to say, all of you work harder than me. I do this because I want to do it. I get to do it. You all do it as part of this association. You deserve all the credit. So, but it was funny that one of the Senate members or somebody said that, hey, they thought that I was retiring from TRTA. So I probably should have said it at the beginning of this, but I am not retiring from TRTA. I like to think that I'm only 50, which I turned 50 in February. And I think 50 is the new 25. So that's my line and I'm sticking to it. I'm not retiring. I'm not leaving TRTA. It was, I think a lot of folks were just moved by the great work that you all did on WEP and GPO. And it was really nice for them to say those things about me, which I appreciate. So yes, I am not going anywhere. And this comment right here, absolutely, baby. We are going to keep going nonstop, 100%, 100 miles an hour. We're going to continue to work for all of the members of this organization. My hope is that people will see all the work that you folks have done and will continue to join this organization. And I just want to let you all know, if you're waiting to join TRTA, we are open for business. You can sign up, renew your dues, talk to your chapters, renew TRTA, join for the first time. We're starting a new membership year, and so I'm so grateful for all of that. So yes, going 100% speed. All right, let me just take a look at a couple other comments. And while I'm doing that, I also want to say, so many people had all of these beautiful and nice and amazing things to say to me. I just want to repeat this again. You all are the ones that deserve the credit. I'm so grateful that you say those things, and I appreciate them. And I appreciate that you know how hard this job can be sometimes, but I love what I do, and I do it because it's the right thing to do. And I work for the best people in the world. I love my board. They're wonderful. They're active. They're engaged. They're some of the best people I've ever had a chance to work with. I love them. And I, as I said, I get to do it. I love my staff. So you all deserve the credit. Thank you so much for bringing the cards and the number of things that were fun. Some of you saw on Facebook, somebody gave me a superhero cape. I did bring that home. I do intend to wear that around my house whenever people are not happy with me. And so I want to get mileage out of that sucker. So I love it. Thank you so much for doing that. And that's just part of, how much I love this organization. So I did not intend for this to be a 1 hour overview of all of these things that are going on. We are going to continue to fight for your Social Security benefits. We're working to get other things fixed and changed. If you have not gotten those yet, continue to communicate with us. We're going to continue to share that information. This is a great one right here. I can already tell. 91-year-old TRS member, never dreamed I would see the repeal happen. I am happy to report that I received my retroactive check and a letter letting me know what my new benefits in April will be. My spouse died in 2013, and I applied at that time. I am so grateful for that comment. That to me is the thank you that I want more than anything else. And so, that's why we do this stuff. I love it. I love it. You all are amazing. Probably too emotional here at the end. I love it. You're doing a great job. We're going to continue to work in the legislative process. We're going to fight for benefit enhancements. We're going to ensure that our teacher retirement system is going to be actuarially sound. There's a long way still to go. We're going to do this every Friday. So I'll try my best to keep them lower amount of time required. But probably the energy of the Wednesday day at the Capitol is what I've carried into this. I'm excited to see all of you this spring or summer or fall or whenever I get a chance to see you again as we're going back on the road. Stick with us. Keep renewing your dues. Please ask more people to join this organization. If you're out of state, let me know. I can try to help you find the association in your state. Circle April 11th. We're still going to have an April 4th show. But April 11th, you do not want to miss. And let all of your friends and family know to tune in April 11th. I will talk to you all in a week. Have a very blessed, safe, and enjoyable weekend. Bye-bye.